Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, Born Creativity. Today we're going to be talking about my top 3 worst games of 2023. Don't forget to like and subscribe, really helps the channel, and let's check this out. Number 3, Diablo 4. When I first saw like the gameplay and things like that for Diablo 4, I was a little skeptical, and I tried to wait, but eventually, my curiosity got the better of me watching people play it, and I played it for myself. And early on, it was decent. As you played along, certain things started to bother me. For example, there were, to me, too many damage types, which was very confusing. Like, I didn't really know what to focus on, what mattered more. The fight mechanics were also very stiff, as well as, like, the, I guess, ability pool that you choose, like with your character types. Like, it just seemed like they forced you to at least invest certain points into certain types of abilities in order to get progressed to the next one. And to me, that kind of felt like underdeveloped. Like, I wish that each type of ability in each class was more fleshed out. Like for example, if you were a sorcerer, if you use fire or ice, I wish that like they had like a much more expansive ability pool for that, and you didn't have to invest points into the other ones in order to progress. Also, at launch, one of the things that I didn't really like was the fact that you didn't get a mount at the beginning of the game. It took till you were almost at the end of the campaign in order to get access to one. And to me, that was just very annoying. Like, going through the open world and seeing other players ride past you while you have to like walk or run throughout the world was kind of annoying, because I didn't, at a certain point I was wondering, like, did I miss something, or like, did I do something wrong? And then I had to look it up, and then I figured out at what point you got a mount, and it just made me even more annoyed. It felt like the devs weren't really listening to the players and what they wanted and what they didn't want. And with I believe the update a few months ago, after the game had released, like, they debuffed all of the damage types and things like that, and like the cooldowns, and like they just really just made a decent game into a bad game. And it took them a while to reverse that, but by that point, the game was always done with some people. Like, a lot of people didn't really play, and they really even cared to play the season that they were going to come up with. So that was definitely a very annoying thing that you just wonder why. Like, what was the point in this? Lastly, the color aesthetic to Diablo 4 just was so bland. Like, I don't know, it just seemed like every color was faded out to, like, you really couldn't, like, it didn't really seem that all that distinct. Even with like the enemy types, a lot of them, I don't know, they all seem to act in the same way, despite the fact that, like, it just felt like they were just reskins of each other for me. And that, to me, made it all the more difficult to continue playing. Even after I beat the game, like, I did some dungeons after that, like maybe 1 or 2, but I just didn't really feel a point in continuing further. Like, what's really in it for me? And since like the gear was so random, like, you didn't really, like, there was no like Disney, like, you gotta go here if you want to get this type of gear, or go there to get that type of gear. Now, I haven't played it in a while, so I don't know how much has changed, but I mean, that initial gameplay experience for all players in any game is important. So for me, like, that was enough to say, okay, I'm gonna drop this. Maybe I'll pick it back up in the future, but for now, it's my 3rd worst game of 2023. Number 2, this is gonna be like very, I guess, a big issue for a lot of people, but Jedi Survivor. I thought that it was okay. Like, I didn't think that it was as terrible as it could have been given some of the games that came out this year, but it definitely did leave a lot left to be desired. For example, Dagon Gera, the main villain or antagonist, I personally see him more as an antagonist than a villain. I just felt like he wasn't that interesting. Like, I mean, like whenever I saw like the little times of him in the High Republic, it just made me more curious about the High Republic than it is about him specifically. The way he dies at the end is just like, like, where do we go from here? Like, I thought that the game was pretty much over after that, but surprise, surprise, it wasn't. And the overall plot itself just wasn't that interesting either. Like, trying to get to Tanalore, and then like once you get there, like it's just like it's nothing. Like it's just an old temple. Like I mean, I guess, and you don't even really get to explore. Like there are no like rooms in there. Like you can't do anything in the post game. It's just a temple, and it's like he did all of that just for this. Like I guess too much backtracking. Like I hated that in the first game, and I hated it here too. Even more so because in this game the maps are bigger and they're much more confusing with how they help you decide where to go. So that for me was very annoying. Like just backtracking. Like you think that if in the story, like if they know that okay, this character is going to and from over and over again, like maybe we like set up some traps or something like that. Like because the fact that I could just travel back and forth without issue just for the context of the story, it just seems silly. Now, I didn't experience this really, but I have to mention it that it was buggy at launch. I think it was more so on the PC version. I played it on PS5, so I didn't. There was some like aesthetic glitches here and there, but I don't recall the game ever freezing anything like that or being unplayable and me having to restart it over. But yeah, I mean, the PC community is a large enough community that I think that it's worth mentioning. And lastly, the thing that I guess annoyed me the most was the bold twists of him like being like a spy. Like it just like I don't know. I mean, like throughout the story, there was hints that something was going on with him with the way he would respond. I just didn't like as strong as he was. It didn't make sense that he was like a spy. Like because I mean, like Cal Kestis was able to like to hold his own. So to me, like Bo should have been able to take care of himself better, even with his daughter. Like he should have been all right. And if he was such a good spy or whatever, good at hiding, then he could have literally like left to like the outer reaches of the galaxy and just hid out there. I mean, like there was so many stories of other Jedi that managed to like avoid the Empire and live out their entire lives. So it just didn't make any sense. And his turn to the dark side out of fear for his daughter, it was just so rapid and drastic that it was just unbelievable to me. And then the fact that we had to end up killing him at the end, was just like I didn't like. It didn't really feel like a good way to end the story. But I don't know if they're gonna come out with another one with Cal Kestis. But if they did, I would hope they would focus more on Bo's daughter at least, because I mean that seems like the more likely trajectory anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I personally prefer Jedi Fallen Order over Survivor. To me, the story was just a lot more interesting than this one. Last but not least, my number one pick for the worst game of 2023 is Cyberpunk 2077. I guess this isn't specifically just about the Phantom Liberty, but just Cyberpunk in general. I didn't like the fact that in Cyberpunk V, the character you play, doesn't really have a happy ending. Like it's supposed to be an RPG. Every ending pretty much either ends up with her dying and like reconciling with her fate, or the one ending where she actually gets cured and everybody leaves and abandons her. She's just alone. That bothered me so much because like I hate when RPGs have like a certain shade of gray, so to speak, in their endings. Like they all are slightly different, but pretty much the same. It's like, well, is this really even an RPG at that point? Like they should have wildly different endings. It was really a disservice to the game to add this new DLC and even add a new ending in the first place if you're just going to make it more of the same. Like in a lot of ways, the ending where she gets cured is worse than her dying. Because at least if she would have died, she'd have had all the people around her. But in the Kieran ending, Panam won't even speak to you. What's Judy? She leaves and gets in a relationship with somebody, with this guy, or is it, I think it is a guy. I'm not sure. She just leaves. She leaves Night City. She's the girl. I can't remember her name. The one who does the tarot cards. She's leaving too. The only person you really got is the dude who does the cybernetics, and you can't even get like cybernetics anymore at all. Like, so it's just no one there, and like I just don't really see the point in the way. Like, it kind of, to me, outside of maybe like the new updates to the mechanics and things like that, I just question what was the point of even adding that new ending in the first place. Like, because it was pretty much more the same. But yeah, man, those are my picks for the top 3 worst games of 2023. I know that there are games that are way worse than that, but I am not a game reviewer professionally, so I didn't play those games. I saw them in trailers and said, no, that is going to be terrible, and I wasn't going to waste my money on it. So yeah, y'all let me know. What are your top 3 worst games of 2023? And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this discussion. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.